Hello everyone, my name is Anaclet and I'm pleased to join you today as a new data analysis consultant. As you know, we recently began this collaboration and I'm excited to present the results of my first analytical engagement with your organization here at ProWidget Systems. Our findings reveal this critical fact. London alone represents 21% of total revenue, make it your strongest individual market by a significant margin. 54% of total revenue comes from unrecognized addresses or poorly structured addresses, limiting geographic visibility. Lastly, the data highlights clear opportunities for targeted commercial activation, even within London itself as well, as in smaller cities that have been underperforming their potential. This overview sets the stage for the detailed analysis that follows. For this initial mandate, the objective was very clear: to understand and to identify and understand the geographic distribution of your customers across the United Kingdom. For the beginning, we obtained the data internally, which was aggregated by customers and their respective addresses, then adding the official list of cities from the government website. The raw data we received contained full customer addresses, but city names were not stored as a structure field. It was 100. The full data was 100,000 rows and 3 columns originally. This meant that city had to be extracted from free text addresses, which is a common but critical data quality challenge. To address this, we followed a three-step preparation process. First, we parse and split UK city names directly from customer addresses. Second, we standardize city names to remove inconsistencies caused by spelling variation, formatting difference, or abbreviations. Third, we group customers by city to allow consistent aggregation of revenue and customer activity. Given the level of noise in the address data, we then introduced 3 functional geographic categories to make the analysis actionable. We treat the data separately as its own category due to its dominant weight. Then we group the other recognized UK city outside London. Lastly, we group the other address that could not be reliably matched to a UK city as other. This categorization allows us to preserve analytical accuracy, avoid false precision, and clearly separate non-geographic performance from data quality gaps. By doing this, we ensure that the results you will see next are driven by structural, comparable data rather than by inconsistency in address formatting. Now that the data has been structured, let's look at where revenue is actually concentrated. When we sort the city by total spend, what immediately stands out is that London and other group category dominate overall revenue. Beyond these 2 segments, individual cities contribute much smaller and relatively stable volumes. This tells us 2 things very clearly. First, revenue concentration is high, meaning performance depends heavily on a limited portion of the geographic footprint. Second, growth outside this dominant segment has not yet scaled in a meaningful way. So this pattern raises an important strategic question, which is, are we seeing market saturation in some area or missed activation opportunities in others? When we isolate London, the picture becomes even clearer. London is 21%. Based on total revenue, London is 21%. The rest of the recognized UK city is 24.4, and the rest of unrecognized city is 54%. However, this dominance should not be mistaken for full optimization. While London performs well in absolute terms, average spend per customer can show room for growth. We will see that later. It's important to precise that in reality, we have 75 cities inside Europe recognized in the four main states of UK, and the other might be just one region which is cross dependencies and four overseas territory. So when we do the relation, we can clearly see that the group order have to be go deeper. To move beyond raw revenue, we introduce city-level performance metric. This metric allows us to evaluate performance more objectively by answering three key questions. The metric company share answer the question of how much revenue is generated per city. The metric spend share answer the question how consistent is customer engagement across locations. The metric spend by company answer the question where are the gaps between presence and performance. Metrics are critical because they turn observation into measurement. Without them, it's impossible to distinguish between normal variation and true underperformance. This framework is what enables us to identify underserved area in a reliable way. When applying this metric, the results are very clear, as we can see on this tree chart, which is the representation of the city, of the lowest city by the different metric presented before. Most of the lowest performing cities are very small, which explains part of the gap. However, no major city is structurally underserved, which confirms that your national coverage is fundamentally sound. That said, several cities show consistently low engagement despite having active customers. This is not a structural limitation, it's a commercial activation gaps. We can see the city like St. David, Brighton and Hove, St. Apath, Ripon, and Newport on the tree appear on the tree bar. So these are micro markets with customer presence but low spend. These cities are not large market, but they do represent pocket of untapped potential. Then we create an underserved score, which group the three metrics. We weight it by what we want to present to have like a balance between all three metrics, to be able to don't qualify one city underserved or in reality is not. So that's why we create a score which combine all that three metrics. we weight the company share at 40%. With that, we see that our revenue is highly concentrated, with London and unrecognized locations driving most performance. No large city is missing from your footprint, which confirms solid geographic coverage. Growth, growth opportunities are now less about expansion and more about activation and optimization. The data does not suggest where you should exist. It shows where you should do more with what you already have. Based on this finding, I recommend 4 concrete actions. First, target the most underserved micro city, as you see based on the underserved score. Target the most underserved the most underserved city to coordinate efforts between sales, customer success, and marketing. This city don't require heavy investment; they require focus. Second, strengthen engagement in London through upsell strategy and usage activation greater than acquisition. Because based on the self score, we see London on this city as a underserved city. Third, break down the order bucket by improving address quality, ideally at the postcode level. This will immediately unlock better geographic visibility because, as we know, city UK has 75 city in Europe and just five dependency or five crown dependency. So that 54% of spend in order is not representative of that 5 city. And to go further, we don't think it's an assumption, but I don't think that order have a city outside of the Europe. So it's most probable that is the misspelling inside the 75 recognized city. And then we finally implement a monthly monitoring routine and assign an internal data champion to ensure insights remain actionable over time. With that, we can make a prediction or do some classification on the data. This analysis provides a clear baseline. With improved data structure and targeted activation, ProWidget System can shift from geographic awareness to geographic optimization. You can see the report and the detailed analysis conduct on this link, on this GitHub link. Thank you.